Protesters hit the streets today marching against Arizona's bill that would give police the power to stop anyone they reasonably suspect of being an illegal immigrant. These are students, an estimated 2,000 or so, who walked out of school in Phoenix trying to pressure Arizona's governor to veto the bill. She's expected to sign it. A lot of questions about it, including is it constitutional? How would you enforce it without profiling? And the raw politics of it all. Joining us now, in-session contributor Sunny Hostin, also Kathy Aru, publisher of Catalina magazine, which focuses on issues important to Latinas. Thanks both for being with us. Sunny, what about this? I mean, the legislator, we just talked to him, seemed like a nice guy. He's a former police officer. He says the standard for stopping people is high, and police are not just able to stop someone if they think they're an illegal immigrant.
Well, listen, that's nonsense. This is basically legalized racial profiling. Reasonable suspicion means that you have a reasonable suspicion that someone has either committed a crime or is about to commit a crime. And what other way can you, have a reasonable suspicion that someone is an illegal immigrant other than the fact that the person is Latino? Listen, I'm Latino. So does that mean when I'm driving in Arizona with my children that a police officer can just stop me based on what I look like? That is what this bill allows.
But he says, no, it doesn't allow that. It would be if you were driving along and there was something suspicious about your vehicle. Maybe there was, you were in a pickup truck and there were a bunch of people sitting in the back hidden, or if a bunch of Latino people in Arizona were lined up looking for a job, day laborers, the police wouldn't just go over to them and ask them for information.
And that is inaccurate. I mean, in practice, in actual practical situations, and again, I was a prosecutor. I prosecuted a lot of drug cases based on reasonable suspicion where an officer stopped someone because they believe that this person fits some sort of profile of being a drug dealer. This is exactly the same thing. Officers would be allowed to stop someone based on what in their mind they believe is a reasonable suspicion that this person is an illegal immigrant. What other basis would you have for stopping someone other than the fact that the person was Latino?
Kathy, you think there's also legalized profiling, basically?
Well, of course, it's racial profiling. I mean, the voters in Arizona, 12% of the voters in Arizona are Latino. So they're getting away with appeasing the majority. So because we don't have a big Latino voice in Arizona, they think they can get away with this. Unfortunately, all of the Latinos around the country are paying attention. MALDEF, NCLR, LULAC, the largest Latino groups around the country are voicing their opinions, and we're letting Jan Brewer know, Governor Brewer know that this is racial profiling, and the Latinos around the country are not going to let this slide.
Sunny, the other thing that the legislator says, and there are a lot of folks who agree with them in Arizona, is that, look, this mirrors federal legislation, that police can talk to people, can stop and talk to them wherever they want.
That's just not accurate. This is really something that is based, I think, on the body of law for reasonable suspicion in criminal law, not federal immigration law.
Right, they're saying he's saying this is based on Terry versus Ohio, which allows police, when they suspect a crime has occurred, to talk to people.
Right, and that's a Terry stop. That is traditionally used in criminal law, state criminal law, not federal immigration law. That is just not true. It's inaccurate. And as a former law enforcement officer, he should know that. And I've got to tell you, this law embarrasses me as a former federal law enforcement officer.
It's also interesting, Kathy, because it does allow people to sue their local governments and law enforcement if they feel that the police are not doing this with enough vigor.
Well, you have so many people right now that are so upset about immigrants. I mean, so many people are upset about social issues, I think because we have our first African-American president, so they have to be upset about social issues. They claim it's economic, and they claim it's so many other reasons.
But people are legitimately concerned about illegal immigration. There's a huge issue, obviously,
it's down
Arizona.
20% this year. Illegal immigration in Arizona is down 20% this year. So now they're more upset than ever. They have no reason to be more upset than ever because it's down 20%.
Well, they said there are huge crime issues, and there was a very high-profile murder of an Arizona rancher recently.
Right. So we're going to pull people over because of the color of their skin while they're driving through town, and if they don't have the proper papers, we're going to be able to arrest them or question them.
Sunny, the legislator pointed out that, look, sure, people can sue their local governments, but anybody can do that. And in this case, they're going to have to pay for the lawsuit if, in fact, it doesn't go through.
I just don't see that as a deterrent. And again, what would be the standard for an American to decide that their state or their city wasn't enforcing a law? This is unprecedented. Anderson, and I got to tell you, I agree. This
Do you
is
think it would
a
stand up to
neat-
constitutional scrutiny?
No way. I mean, we have as Americans the right to be protected against governmental unreasonable search and seizure. If this law is passed, and I agree, I think the governor will do that, it is going to be subject to immediate constitutional challenges based on the Fourth Amendment. It's a right that every single American has, and every single American will be subjected to this. Not only in Arizona, this could be precedent for this law being passed in every state.
If this
people
got
should be very worried about this.
If this got passed in Arizona, would you go to Arizona?
I would go, and I would be subjected to being stopped, racially profiled, and terrorized with my children in the car, with my husband in the car,
Kathy,
and
I saw you shaking your head. You wouldn't go?
I wouldn't go. I don't think you should go. I don't think any American should drive through Arizona if we could all be stopped because of reasonable suspicion that we are illegal immigrants. Would you go? I don't think any American should go. It wouldn't be safe. I think that driving through Arizona today would be like going through Alabama in the 60s. I think Governor Brewer is acting like Governor Wallace. I think it's not a safe place to be if you're not a certain skin color.
Kathy Aru, appreciate your perspective, and Sunny hosting as well. Thank you so much. As always, a lot more material online at ac360.com, where tonight we post a link to the full text of the bill we've been talking about so you can read it for yourself, make up your own mind. Up next, we're going to talk with the ship's captain.